Sam, is this just the pay the influencer platform du jour? How effective is it, and what does it mean for the fledgling artist?
I think it's an interesting way that Rolling Stone decided to frame it because it doesn't cost $30,000 for everybody. Maybe it costs $30,000 for Charlie D'Amelio, who's like the number one TikToker in the world, but it doesn't cost that much for everybody. Now, that's not to say that it doesn't cost money to guarantee the use of your song. But there are a lot of just as is the case with YouTube and Instagram. There's a lot of micro influencers on TikTok who are happy to promote something, maybe just have a shout out, maybe just something that's under $1,000, which is still a lot. Let's not mince words there. It's still a lot for especially for independent artists, but it's not your major label budgets.
Well, the thing here is, now does it become the saturation point again, where it's only the 1%, only the ones with this money that can get in there, and it now is it that we're looking at the next platform already for how these fledgling artists that don't have this kind of budget, like it's what happened with YouTube, what happened with Instagram, like what is an artist to do? What can you do, like as a manager? What do you tell your artists?
Right. Well, so I think as with prior platforms that have kind of taken this position of being the new way to promote music, there are going to be creators who take money for promotion, but all creators, as far as I have experienced, and at least the good ones for sure, still like doing genuine, good content. They like engaging with other creators. They like, uh, you know, sharing the things that they care about, the things that they're interested in, and really kind of feeding the audience. Because if it's just all promotion, it's obvious. So they like to do things that are still very organic to their personality, their platform. That's really what the audience is there for in the first place. And so for the artists that I represented who've gone that route, who wanted to engage in that sort of audience and reach out and have some kind of help from the influencer space, I say get involved, get on the platform, participate, create content, be a member of that community, earn your recognition and earn your credibility as a member of that community. Then reach out and say, hey, I'm over here doing my thing. I like your thing. Let's do our thing together. My thing is music. Your thing is something else. And that's
Yeah,
the most organic way you can get that word of mouth going.
yeah, and that's something that YouTube influencers used to do in the past. Is you'd find you match up with somebody and you would share some content. You'd cross collateralize. You could do a bunch of different things together and say, hey, go check them out, and then vice versa. So, and that's how that the whole YouTube influencer and partnerships, that's really helped to get everybody more exposure. And that's actually still what this name of the game is. It comes down to exposure, because TikTok, what are they paying out for royalties right now? So you're paying to get exposure to drive somebody to go listen to listen you on a streaming platform, so you generate revenue there. And
Absolutely.
with that being said, don't go anywhere, Sam, because we have another social streaming platform to discuss. And this has to do with Twitch and their copyright strike problems. So last week, The Verge reported that Twitch will begin scanning and deleting clips that contain copyrighted music. In the article, they state Twitch plans to start automatically scanning clips of live streams for copyrighted music and following a wave of takedown requests on years-old videos, which has frustrated streamers over the last week. Twitch says it will automatically delete clips with copyrighted music in them and that it will not penalize streamers. Under its current rules, streamers can get strikes for copyright violations that could ultimately lead to a ban. So, Sam, we're going to turn back to you, and we're also going to bring in the Duke for this segment to discuss the effects that this will have on streamers in the industry. So, Sam, you're at Studio 71, which is dealing directly with this. So let's start with your take on this matter.
Sure. So there's kind of two sides to this equation, right? There's the rights owners who control the content, the music, and don't want it used without getting paid for it, obviously enough. And on the other side, there's the creators who are using the content in their videos and in their streams, which does have a amplified effect on the professionalism and the production quality that's perceived of their streams. And then in the middle is Twitch having to, be the traffic between the sort of intersection of those two parties. So Studio 71, as a multi-channel network and as a content distributor, we both represent a bunch of music rights as well as a bunch of creators, especially gaming streamers, where this is a problem for them. So it's a very unique sort of position to be in, where we can kind of see both sides, play both sides of the coin. The reality is this: music creators, like, put aside the labels, for example, creators themselves want to get credited and get compensated for their work. It doesn't matter if they're a streamer and they want to collect the tips from people paying in on their stream. It doesn't matter if they're a music creator and they want to get paid for doing the covers that they spend a lot of time, effort, and money producing. Everybody's just trying to make a living making content and making sure that their rights are protected across the board. So there's sort of an obligation on the part of the labels and the distributors, like Studio 71, to defend those rights. But there's also an obligation on the parts of the creators and their representatives, like Studio 71, to try and keep those claims and strikes at bay, to allow the streamer or the creator to continue having that business opportunity. This is nothing new. It's what happened on YouTube. It's what led to the creation of Content ID. It's what led to Facebook having to build a rights manager and have the issues that they had with Instagram and automatic detection. Twitch is now suffering the same problem. They're becoming a platform where monetization is inevitable at the scale of a YouTube. And so all the labels, including the RIAA and NMPA, who are sort of the main mouthpieces for this effort, are going to be looking to cause a little bit of damage to bring them to the bargaining table.
Right on. And I know, Dave, the Duke also, he was talking about this, and, coming from, as a musician and everything, and I know you have a standpoint on this. So, let's fold this into the equation. So, Duke, come on, why don't you join us and, give us your perspective on this.
Well, when I read this, like, my brain was kind of just like baffled, because so just like, long story short, the band Shinobi Ninja, then we had a song in NBA 2K12, the #1 selling video game of that year. It sold 5 million copies. So every time somebody played that game, our song played. Now, if you're twitching the game and the song plays, how does that affect your stream if it's in the game itself? It's almost like there's a fourth wall. And then the other side is like, social medias are just becoming too powerful. I think now with Twitter, like, putting, labels on what the president says, or this is false, or this is real. It's the same thing with Twitch. It's like, you can't play a song, even though you bought the song, you can't play the song. I think the next step would be kind of controlling what you wear. You can't wear certain things in our videos, because if we're Nike, we don't want you streaming racist things or anything like that. I think it's just like the walls are just closing in slowly but surely on the creators of content, if you want to call it content. But it's really our lives that we're living, and it's the big brother eye. And it's just, now it's what you say, it's what you listen to, it's what you look like. It's just a lot of walls. So I just felt, I was just like, man, it's just closing in on all sides. And what do you have to do? You have to make another social media platform that then says, we're not like the other ones, until they get big enough, and then they get bought up and they become just like the other ones. So I think it was questionable.
I think a certain amount of that is good and a certain amount of that's bad, right? Like, we don't want platforms to allow the proliferation of harmful, damaging, abusive, or fraudulent content, right? We also don't want Twitch necessarily to become a haven for people to freely distribute music that people then tune into, that like it's the radio, but there's no monetization model, even like the radio has, to support the creators who made that content. On the other token of that, we see a big part of at least the argument for the press's sake here is that creators are streaming a lot more and using Twitch a lot more, but there's not a monetization model for them as robustly as there is elsewhere. And so we need Twitch to kind of support creators in the licensing and monetization of the content that they're bringing to the table. And the way we do that is by limiting how much of it is used and abused on other channels and other streams where it's not paid for, it's not licensed, it's not covered. What do you think about that sort of like towing the line?
I think it's cool to monetize things, right? I'm a creator. I want to get paid. I think it's cool to monetize things. I think when you're dealing with the strike aspect, that's when it gets scary, because now you're dealing with like online jail for the creator. So I'm going like, man, I can't play my homies' tracks, even if they're on a small label, if it's distributed by whatever and it's on Spotify, I can't play my homies' tracks. And so what kind of person am I if I can't do the things that I want to do? I'm really like restricted. I used to be free to be a Twitcher, and now I can't do the things I wanted to do because I'm afraid to get my channel taken down. And what happens if they do take your channel down? What are you going to do then? It's like, you still got to wake up, you know, you still got to create, but now you can't do the things that you love to do. So it's really like, it's shackles. It's the shackles of social media, you know?
I think that's an interesting point. There's sort of the missing piece here, which is true for many platforms, and YouTube is better about this, but not great. But in other platforms, it's very rudimentary, where if it's an automatic detection system, it's just going to flag the content as a first step and then potentially take it down as a matter of policy, even before you have the opportunity to prove that you have permission to use it. So whether it's your homie's record and they say, yes, please put this on your channel, I want it promoted, I appreciate you. You don't have the ability to make that argument before the damage is already done. I think that's where the abuse of hand, that's where the social media jail comes in for sure.